Read an article in the Times that said first-time buyers are facing a brutal market. They're not lying. That's for a multitude of reasons. I'll give you some of the data and then kind of talk about why it is. First-time buyers right now are the oldest that they've ever been. Would you believe that the average age of a first-time buyer in 2022 was 36 years old? It never happened. Age of a buyer is typically, you would think, somebody in their 20s that are gonna go out and buy it, at least around us, a $200,000-$300,000 house, live in it for a few years, maybe get some roommates, sell it and move on to the next thing when they engage, get married, whatever. That's not the case anymore. People are renting a lot longer. The average person is buying their first place at 36 and planning to stay there for up to 18 years. That's one piece of data that we found, that 26% of all home sales are first-time buyers. That's the lowest that it's ever been. Highest it's ever been is 50%, and that's in 2010 after the Great Recession. Why? A few reasons, pandemic being one of them. In the beginning stages of 2020, people weren't sure what was gonna happen. They weren't sure, hey, are we gonna be able to move? So they decided, well, our 40, 50, 60-year-olds that were homeowners, why don't we just fix up the place that we have? We'll make it what we've always wanted it to be. Then we can decide if we wanna move. Maybe in a few years, we'll just put it off. You gotta remember, if you had kids that were older, they were staying at the house longer. Kids that were younger were definitely at home. A lot of them had school at home. You needed more space. So we just saw a ton of renovations, not enough things selling. That trend has kind of continued for a couple of years. And so we're seeing the results of that ideology, where you've got 30% less houses in 2022 for sale around us than you saw even in 2021. Prices went up. And with prices going up, it meant, well, now I gotta bring more money to the table. A few years ago, it would take a buyer about 6 weeks in general to find a house. Now, the process is longer. It was about 8 weeks, maybe 2 years ago. Now it's about 10, which means on average, it's taken a while to find properties. Now you combine lack of inventory. So like I said, we're down 30% across the board from even 2021, which was low inventory. You combine rising rates over the last 6 months. So the Fed has risen the rates. They're almost double what they were. You combine the fact that rents are really about the same, maybe even ticking up a little bit. It's just kind of a recipe for a market that is not really conducive for a lot of people buying their house first. What I will say is, when the average age is 36 years old, you're not seeing a lot of sales in the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 range. You're seeing more sales in the $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 range, maybe even higher. It's a much nicer house than they would have gotten, if they were 10 years younger. People are rate conscious. People are payment conscious. Even though it's a really difficult market right now for first-time buyers, they'll be able to find what they want, be able to get something that's gonna make them happy, that's gonna work for their family. It's just gonna take a lot more time to find it, because we're not gonna get this influx of inventory that most people want. And we're gonna have to be ready to do some work to properties that might need a little TLC. Have to structure things properly. So maybe that's less down payment up front and holding on to some cash so you can renovate property once you get it.